It has been said that the only constant in life is change. I have a dear friend who loves fancy, fast cars. Somebody said, life is truly a ride. We're all strapped in and no one can stop it. When the doctor slaps our behind, she's ripping our ticket and away we go. As we make each passage from youth to adulthood to careers to maturity, sometimes we put our arms up and scream. Sometimes we just hang on to that bar in front of us. But the ride is the thing. I think the most we can hope for at the end of our careers is that our hair is messed up and we're out of breath and we didn't throw up, end quote. Speaking more spiritually, I'll lean on my mother's teachings. Her favorite scripture and mine, Ecclesiastes 3:1-8. For everything there is a season and a time for every matter under heaven. A time to mourn and a time to dance. A time to keep silent and a time to speak. Just as the earth experiences spring, then summer, fall, and finally winter, this afternoon I'll take a few minutes to speak about how our own career cycle has its seasons. Who we become, the young people we nurture, and the work we do in the spring and summertime of our careers contribute to the making of our harvest or our legacy. In the fall of our lives, we reap what we sow. I want to speak about the spring and summer seasons of my career. My mother would be disappointed if I didn't seize the moment to say thank you. Can't thank everybody in the universe, time won't permit. I am going to highlight a couple of my proudest accomplishments, and I will offer a few nuggets of advice to the class of 2020. And lastly, I will share with you my vision for my future. Thank you to our Mayor James F. Kenney, who was my colleague for 16 years on the Philadelphia City Council. We shared issues that we cared about and together co-sponsored major pieces of legislation, namely the Hate Crimes Bill and the LGBT Commission and others. To my islanders, Councilman Curtis Jones and Councilwoman Maria Quinona Sanchez, we formed a special bond. It's been cultivated and has lasted over 15 years. Thank you. To President Clark and members of this legislative body, we collectively share the belief that we're here on earth to do good for others. We get up every morning determined to change the corner of the world we occupy. We believe that when smart people sit around the caucus table or president's table, we believe firmly that we can solve complex problems that are gripping our city. We accept the harsh reality that we can give our city the best we got, and it'll never be enough, but we have to give the city the best we got anyway. Mother Teresa. Thank you to all of my colleagues. Know that I have valued you even when we disagreed. Having hard discussions is what we do well. Anyone can steer the ship, but it takes a real leader to chart the course. We're 17 members in this body that every day are trying to chart the course for our city. Nothing I can do, nothing I can say, can be said without first acknowledging my mom. A widow at age 37, she was left to raise 7 children alone. As the oldest, she taught me at age 22 that, Blondell, it will never be about you. She made it clear that looking out for my siblings, for me, was never an option. It was required. Because of her values that she modeled, resilience, discipline, hard work, strength, and a very persuasive insistence, I would have made different career choices. All of you know my story about the Peace Corps when I wanted to not come back home because I'd signed up for the Peace Corps because I actually had a job. And I called home to tell my mother I won't be coming back home. I have my master's degree. I want to go to Africa and help children. That's what it was, a deadpan silence. My mother said, Africa? You have 3 sisters in college and 3 siblings to go. Your Peace Corps will be right back here in Philadelphia. And so as an obedient 23-year-old, I packed my bags and I came back home. Because her belief always was that education was our ticket out. and she expected me to help every single one of my siblings to graduate from college. She worked 3 jobs, and I joined her scrubbing people's floors. Thank you, Councilwoman Sanchez, for that bill. So in her absence, I have to acknowledge her by saying she taught me that you have to work hard every single day and expect no handouts from nobody. Thank you for my daughter, the joy of my life, because she picked up something called discipline and hard work. She just passed her 2nd law school exam, and she's home studying for contracts. To my sisters and my brother who is live streamed if my sisters are doing what I asked them to do. The gift I've had of my siblings is that they have been there and offered me tissues during those tough times, even while they remain completely perplexed that I would change my career choice to participate in the unforgiving world of electoral politics. To the village moms and girlfriends, thank you for the values and philosophy we shared in trying to be present for our and each other's children. You made parenting fun with a serious purpose. To many of my dear girlfriends who were here, Delta Sigma Theta girlfriends, travel crew, old school dance party, your unwavering support over the last 20 years is unmatched. To my staff, also known as my work family, 2/3 of whom were here today, while I am proud of my many legislative achievements, it is the devotion of each one of you that help elevate our mission. As Jason Lewis, my former PR manager, said, and now a PR guru for a major marketing firm in the city, he used to say, Councilwoman, you have a talent factory for young professionals. To my staff, I do hope that my actions have demonstrated my gratefulness for your sacrifices. To the audience assembled, a year ago, October to December 2018, I reckoned with the fact that life offers us choices. Every 4 years, each election for us as elected officials is a choice. After 6 months of self-reflection, introspection, a self-assessment of where I am, recognizing that my mother was gone for 28 months and my daughter had graduated 18 months at that time, I came to grips with the fact that it really is okay for me to continue to do public service and public policy, even if I choose to contribute in other alternative ways, even if I decide to exit center stage and move to another arena. There have been lots of believers and comrades who cared about my success. First, to the visionary Mayor John F. Street, and to those confidents around him who made a huge difference during my freshman term as a newcomer in this city council. To the comrade I started with, W. Wilson Good Jr. We shared an unshakable fidelity during our time together in city council. I remain eternally grateful to Wilson for his friendship and for his teachings. He remains my guru and guidepost on the issue of leveling the playing field for business opportunities for MBEs and WBEs in our city. For those of you who may not know, Councilman Good passed 66 bills on one issue, diversity and inclusion. And so I join you, Wilson. I join my colleagues in giving you the deepest respect for your brilliance in that space. Over the last 20 years, I have traveled and covered most of the 141 square miles of our city. From Old City in Councilman Squiller's district, to Mantua, my home base in Councilwoman Blackwell's district, to the Upper Roxborough and Winfield, where I now live in Councilman Curtis Jones' district, to Chestnut Hill, where I traveled during campaigns in Councilwoman Bass's district, to Fair Hill in Councilwoman Maria Quinones Sanchez's district, both during and not during campaign times, and then to my soror, Councilwoman Sherelle Parker, the 50th Ward, where that ward leader gave me a chance. My staff and I have tried to honor my passion, seeking to help and uplift families and advocate for the underprivileged and those who are surviving on the edge of life. To those thousands of large and small contributors who've supported my 5 consecutive successful campaigns, and to the Old School Dance Party Steering Committee, led by my sister Pandora Woods. One year she raised $30,000 on a $30 ticket, took care of all of my expenses for Election Day. Note, in all of those races, I was always out-financed. Right, David? But one thing we all knew for sure, you cannot outwork Blondell Reynolds Brown. What a privilege it has been to serve those hundreds of thousands of citizens who praised and rewarded our good work. To African American women who vote in higher numbers than any other voting bloc, thank you for always sharing and hearing my story. Thank you more for the recognition of my work product and my work ethic during a period of adversity. To my stakeholders and shareholders, my honorary kitchen cabinet, members of my kitchen cabinet who were here, George Burrell, David Hyman, David Ford, Haji Malumium, and my sister Pandora Woods, who sat with me 4 times a year for 20 years offering advice. Thank you. To the handful of those new political allies that deepened your reach to me financially and emotionally during that rainy season, thank you for the umbrellas that you offered. You were the unexpected angels who looked at my heart, looked at my work product, and my value as a contributing member of City Council. It was you, President Clark, and others who looked beyond that rainy season and behind the news accounts, accepting that I too was not perfect, guiding me to take strategic steps towards rebuilding my campaign during the most challenging time of my career. President Clark, Councilwoman Sanchez, Councilman Jones, Councilwoman Janie Blackwell, you never counted me out. The sunshine reappeared when I won my re-election in May 2015 handsomely. My mom has a lot of sage passages, and one of them, when I came in one day, and she said, I am so glad I don't hear your name on KYW anymore. And then she said, nothing good or bad lasts forever. Implicit in that passage is the notion that adversity is not the permanent condition of who we are. Life challenges are not supposed to paralyze us. Instead, they should be designed to teach us discernment. In fact, adversity is our greatest teacher. Therefore, we must realize that those who wrestle with us always will strengthen us and strengthen our nerves and better help us sharpen our skills. My mom reminded my siblings, me and now her grandchildren, that we learn from our victories. In fact, when we are pushed, tormented, make mistakes, feel defeated, we acquire greater knowledge because we know who we are and what we're made of. What's my lesson, Mr. President? 2 lessons from that experience for me. Helen Keller says it best. Character cannot be developed in ease and quiet. Only through experience of trial and suffering can the soul be strengthened, ambition inspired, and success achieved. End quote. My interpretation, even the desert blooms after the storm. When you think of my work in City Council and some of my greatest accomplishments, mention the Mayor's Commission for Women. Now we're at 32 cities in the country that have that. Mention the LGBTQ Commission. That was our work. Mention the Youth Commission. While we could feel satisfied with the work we have done, my still proudest legislative victory is the creation of the Children's Fund in my first year of my first term in City Council. The coaching from Mayor John F. Street and George Burrell helped me craft a major provision of the year 2000 stadium legislation. That Children's Fund is now 15 years old. It's worth more than $60 million and will be in effect another 15 years long after I leave City Council on December 31st. As Councilwoman Sanchez used to say, dining out will never be the same in the city of Philadelphia. No one now can go to most restaurants without seeing the nutritional information. Now, I had some personal investment in that because, I wake up every day of the week taking my weight and looking to see how many calories I can pack in before I see the LBSs. And what I know is that when we have the information on the front end, now science proves to us that we actually make different nutritional decisions. Councilman Jones will remember that it took us 2 years to find that 9 votes, right? Out of that, we drew attention nationally and recognition from the White House when First Lady Michelle Obama came to speak about our bill once it was passed. What is my message to incoming council electeds? Allow me to put my former teacher hat on and share some advice. Be advised that individuals do not get to 8 votes alone. Build alliances. Insist on collaborations. Look for the win-win. Dismiss the or and seek the and. Right, Councilwoman Sanchez? Do not get stuck on stupid with your arrogance. Humility in your achievements is always more attractive. Secondly, recognize that campaigns like life are a constant daily audition. Make sure you are dressed for the audition. While we are not perfect human beings, we must remember that decency when disagreeing and the words you use do matter. If that were not so, it would not matter how we raise our children. Thirdly, I will caution all incoming members to remember that our city cannot function by the government structure alone. For Philadelphia to grow and thrive, we must recognize and have the sensibilities and the respect to value all of our sectors, including our business community. Even when we disagree, it's my personal opinion, we have to respect the role that they serve in our city. The relationship between our city government and business matters. And if that were not so, the recent tax abatement debate would not be. On a personal note, I'll say preserve and protect your families. And choose to always be in the present for your children. Choose always to be in the present for your children, even when the press got a problem with that. I took my daughter to school myself from preschool to 12th grade every morning. And if someone called me while I had her in the car, she used to tell me, "Mommy, you would say, allow me to get back to you. I'm trying to spend a few minutes with my daughter." Live in the present with your children. My charge to this council is that we have lots of unfinished business. Tackle the still inequities that persist with MBE, WBEs in city contracts. I triple-checked my data yesterday to learn that as of May 2019, Philadelphia still has only a 2.5% rate for Black-owned businesses. Continue to be an outspoken critic, continue to be a broken record on any and all issues impacting women. Reminding Neanderthals that women have the capacity, we have the breadth and the depth to do the work required to break barriers. Continue to be a pathway for younger women to dream dreams and then encourage them to work hard to make those dreams come true. Wrap your arms around young women and young people. The rewards are immeasurable. I can testify. As I close, I found this passage from Napoleon Bonaparte. Nothing is more difficult and therefore more precious than to be able to decide. The process a year ago was a lot of second guessing, a lot of serious soul searching of who I am, where I am, and what time it is. My decision to step off the center stage for the 2019 election cycle allowed me to make this decision on my own terms. It was my choice to leave center stage and learn and grow in other ways. And while I know there's never a perfect time, it's the right time for me. At the end of the day, the myopic view of my life as viewed by others will not stand taller than the panoramic view I have for my future. I understand that the most plentiful commodity on earth is free advice, usually critical advice, and often hostile and uninformed advice. But I will dare to imagine a new chapter written by me, Blondell Reynolds Brown. The voices I hear and choose to follow belong to God and my inner spirit. I choose not to allow the fear of the shift stop me from making the shift. I did hear the different drummer of Henry David Thoreau's metaphor. So while I've worked with exceptional professionals across government under multiple administrations, my city council experience tells me that I can still do more on the outside because they have a sense of what's required and what the view looks like from the inside. Lastly, I thank God for the discernment and clarity as I weighed many factors in the preparation for my decision, which I've had in here multiple times. It's not the end of my career, just saying. But here's what I know. I do not want to be one of those women who's glad I did, or one of those people who wished I had. The best inheritance I can leave my daughter Brielle and her cousins is an example of how to live a full and meaningful life. I want my daughter to tell her children, not only did her mother stand for something while serving 20 years, but with humility and hard work, I acted on it. Councilman Dom, you've heard me say this many times. I do not want to get to the end of my career or the end of my life and only have lived the length of it. I want to have lived the width of it as well. And it takes a little bit of courage to do that. Thank you, Mom. Therefore, come December 31st, 2019, I will exit the stage of the Philadelphia City Council and start the fourth act, or the fourth quarter for ball players who love football, of my career. Remember, while summer was great, that time has passed. In the fall, the focus is less on doing and more on allowing and reaping the benefits of what we have sowed during the spring and summer seasons. These seasons will come and go many times throughout our lives, but we must learn to dance with them, yield to them, as uncomfortable and inconvenient as it might be. Come January 1, 2020, I expect to embrace a new season of my life with a grateful heart, and I'm looking forward to that new professional growth with optimism and hard work. And so lastly and finally, in the words of my phenomenal, it's my personal opinion, an amazing Girls High School alum and my former chief of staff and the new councilwoman-elect, Catherine Gilmore Richardson, the favorite expression in our office was, "We journey on." Let me hear it. We journey on. Thank you very much.